friends, we're here today in 2 Corinthians chapter 6. So, yesterday I did a very short explanation of that chapter, and I think I may have a short explanation of this chapter as well. And I was trying to figure out, how come I'm not explaining this more? There's so much there. How come there's so little to explain? And I've been thinking about it all day because I kind of felt bad. I'm sure nobody cares that if I have a short explanation. But I was like, did I not research it enough? And I really did. I researched it a lot. I have been thinking, there's a quote I heard a long time ago about talking about music. And they say talking about music is like dancing about architecture. It just doesn't convey it. And I feel like when something's so poetic, there's not much you can do about it. You kind of have to just read it, and you have to really understand what it's saying. And so if you just say what it means, it doesn't really do it justice. And so I can say what it means. I can say what I think, but this is like music. It's it's poetry. And so, but this chapter is very much a continuation of the previous chapter. And so I'll just highlight what I can here. But in the beginning, it takes an old quote from Isaiah, and it says something to the effect of, time of, kind of like a good time, I listened to you, and in a time of salvation I helped you. And it's almost saying it sounds like he's saying these are two separate times. Like, in good times I'm with you, and in bad times I'm with you, but I do different things at different times. And what Paul is saying here is, no, these are both these are both the same times. This is the time that God is listening to you, and this is the time that God is saving you. And it's interesting when you read through these things, he's kind of saying God is basically working through us, through the good and the bad. He's listing off all of these things that, it's like through this and this and this, and it sounds like it's a list of wonderful things, and then he'll make kind of another list, a list of what seems like horrible things. And you're like, what is going on here? What is this that they all have in common? And the thing that they all have in common is that these are all situations where God is working through you, or where God is working in you. It's interesting, I've heard some people say that Christianity, whenever it is persecuted, it tends to grow and strengthen better than any other time. And I've heard many people say, and I know this is true from my own life, that in times that I'm growing in my relationship with God, it almost always grows through the hardships. Not in the good times, but the hard times. And I've said before that Paul was being criticized because he was going through hardships, but I'm led to believe that in this book, he's addressing them, saying that they are going through hardships. And I don't know exactly what they were going through, but he's saying, look, God is working through me, through all the hardships and the good things. God, when we are in a time of wealth and everything, God can do great things through that as well. And no matter what, God can use the situation that you're in. And so that is essentially what Paul is trying to say here, but he's saying it much better. And the thing that he is saying is more important than my sad explanation of it. So he continues on and says, don't be unequally yoked. Now, a lot of times people use this to talk about marriage, that a believer and an unbeliever shouldn't marry. And I think that is a very good application of what this is saying, because when you are in a marriage, that's a partnership like no other, and it's a ministry like no other. But it's not exactly the situation that he's speaking to. He's talking about the church and how they're kind of divided over the gospel. Some people get it and some people don't. Some people are trying to reconcile with Paul and some people aren't. And he's saying, don't be unequally yoked with those people. A yoke meaning a thing that would tie two like ox together so that they can plow together. One person would just be dragging the other person over. I feel like another way of saying it is like, if you're on a sailboat and one person wants to go to Alaska and the other person wants to go to the Caribbean, maybe you guys should be on separate boats. And so, yeah, he's saying, don't be unequally yoked. And this is very true in marriage. Don't partner yourself in this ministry of marriage with someone who doesn't have the same goals that you do in marriage. But in life, in church, don't partner yourself. When you're going through this life with people, your life, whether you realize it or not, is a ministry. And just making sure this is clean here. And when you're living this life, you need to align yourself with people that believe the same thing. So that's what Paul is saying here. And so that, I guess I'll leave it at that. I love this chapter and I love this book. So that is 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Have a great day. Bye.